Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome. We're going to get right into the stock market technical analysis. I'm going to start out with the general market analysis. So we'll look at various charts across the indices, and then we'll go into some individual trade ideas and we'll wrap up. So again, if you guys are new, the point of this channel is to really look for trade ideas that we can take advantage of and hopefully make some money on. And we use technical analysis to find our trades. So leave me a thumbs up as I go along if you guys find value. I do appreciate that. And if you're new also and you want to learn about this skill set, take my stock market technical analysis course. Link in the description below. You guys know the deal. Let's get right into it. Nasdaq futures. All right, this is where I want to start out today because the Nasdaq has really been the kind of key indicator I've really been honing in on, that and the financials. So we'll cover the financials here in a second, but the Nasdaq futures. And we've got a breakdown again today. So here's the trend line that I've been watching. I've got it kind of marked in blue right there, and I've got all the tags of support that are validating that trend line circled. Okay, and you can see where we're at today. As I zoom in, we're back below there again today. So last week we dipped below it here. We had a wick below it. They recovered it. We did it again right there. They recovered it basically. Today, we're back below it again. So this is our third attempt to try to break this trend line. We'll see where we end up by the end of the day. Well, what's been happening is we've been breaking down in the morning, and then in the late afternoon, the dip buyers are stepping in and bidding it back up for what's called the stick save, which basically means you were below it at one point, and then you rallied up, creating this stick, and you saved the trend line. All right? So we'll see, but as of right now, we do have a breakdown. It's looking good so far. It's pretty impulsive, and it looks like a sell signal to me, just a continued sell signal. Looking at the Qs here, you can see that, again, we're just continuing to drift lower in the Qs. So you can see here that same kind of trend line marked in blue. I've got all the tags of support marked out, so that's 5 of them, and we kind of had a 6th reaction here, and we're breaking down again. So nothing super impulsive in the Qs, although it did come in the form of a gap down. We kind of gapped down a little bit this morning, and we're down, 1.5%. That's a good size move in the Qs. I'd like to see the selling kind of intensify. Not seeing that yet, so we'll see where this ends up throughout the day. We really need to wait till the end of the day to see where this is going to close. But as of right now, looks like we're just continuing to break down and sell off. There's dip buyers in there, they're trying to buy the dip, but we'll need to see who kind of wins this battle right now. It's basically a battle going on. Looking at the SPY futures, the S&P 500 futures, nothing really major going on. I had the small trend line, but it's not anything that I consider important. But the trend line here, I like this one marked in red. You can see all the tags of support that we've had, and we're trading down to that. So, you want to see that go for bigger picture shorts. But as of right now, the Q short continues to look good. That's where most of the selling's taken place, has been in tech. But we are starting to see some selling in the financials as well. So I'll flip over to that. And you can see today, nice breakdown, nice continuation to the downside today with down over 2% in the XLF. A lot of that, I think, is probably Goldman Sachs since it's down, pretty big today. But our sell signal in the financials on the hourly chart came right back here. This is where I got short right there. So we had this bearish rising wedge pattern. We had negative divergence that was building. Again, divergences is a concept that I teach in my course, so check that out. But the momentum was moving lower, and we had a bearish pattern. We broke, so our sell signal came right there basically. And this is where I got short. And then so far it's been pretty much down ever since. So looking at the daily chart, nice impulsive selling. We are coming down to, what could prove to be the first level of support, which is about 39.67. But I think we're likely heading lower than that. There's not solid support. There's better support right down here at 38, we'll call it 39. And then there's even better support down here, down at 35 area. So those are kind of key levels of support. We'll see. We're not going to head straight down. We're going to bounce along the way. But it does look like we've started a downtrend. So I am anticipating more downside in the coming weeks to months, basically. Small caps trading right down to support. So you can see here, this is where we're at right now. Support's sitting there at about, I've got it at 209. Basically, we've got a lot of tags of that. Big sideways range on this thing that's really been playing out for over a year. So I am thinking that when we break this range, whether that's to the upside or the downside, I'm thinking we're going to gap down. And if I had to put money on it, which I have, I am short, I would say we're going to break to the downside because we have big negative divergence that's been building pretty much for about a year. We've been building a negative divergence pattern in the momentum, telling me that we're likely going to break down. But today, we ran down right to support at 209 area. We're bouncing off of there. So that's probably the entire, that's probably the entirety of the move for today. And then we'll see if we get a gap down tomorrow. Okay, let's look at some individual trade ideas. We're going to start out with some short trades. GameStop, all right? So I talked about this one recently. I've been all over this one, looking for a continuation to the downside. The level of support, I've got it kind of circled basically, but the big level of support was really right in here. It's about this range right here. We could say 120.50 down or up to about 132. And you can see as I zoom in, we kind of battled with that, but we're clearly putting that in the distance today, down 7%. And, as far as I can tell, this looks like it's just heading straight down. So likely we're going to start to see the selling intensify, because we've got all these traders here that on this big sideways shelf. Again, this is going back pretty much a year's worth of trading, and they're all underwater basically. Anybody who bought the stock in this time frame is now starting to take on losses. As those losses start to build, they'll start to capitulate, and more sellers should come into this. And I believe we're going to push down to this 45 area on GameStop. So that's my target right now for my profit target. It's about 45. It could go a lot lower, but I don't want to get greedy. So I'm looking for a continuation to the downside of another about 60%. Again, on this one, I take smaller position sizing because it is volatile. So expect on the way down, we're probably going to get some sort of big rip higher, some sort of short squeeze kind of move higher, but I do think it will continue down to that 45 area. And again, all these buyers are going to start, all these longs, anybody that took it long, we're starting to run stops, and shorts are going to start piling in. So it's continuing to work. So far this thing's up about 25%, I think, since I took it short. Lyft, talked about this one. And really, I was looking to short it right up in here at this resistance line, 45, 46 bucks. And I'm looking for a continuation down to this gap fill right here. This gap goes back to November 2020 timeframe, and this is clearly downtrending. We got a big gap underneath, so it's a pretty obvious target. So I'm looking for this to continue to drift lower, and basically run to fill this gap. So I'll cover down here in this 32 area. So far, so good. I don't see any reason why this won't continue. Okay, here's a short trade idea, Seas, which is SeaWorld. We have a sell signal today. Here's what I want to point out. All right, on the daily chart coming off the March 2020 lows, clear uptrend line right there. All right, we broke trend and created the secondary trend line. And again, this is just kind of part of the buy the dip patterns that we've seen. Is you break a trend and then the dip buyers step in, and they've been creating a secondary trend line. So there it is. And you can see we basically started it here, support, there's another tag, and there's the break. All right, there's your sell signal. That sell signal we were looking for it because you see the negative divergence right there on the PPO and the RSI. So again, we were drifting up, made a new slightly higher high on lower momentum. All right, so there's negative divergence, there's your sell signal. So I think that's good for a move to the downside. Honestly, I think the target on this one is probably going to be all the way down here. A final target, I would say, about 37. All right, 36.80 is the actual number. And you can see that was kind of your former high before the COVID crash. And then nice breakout there. So I think we probably will come down and hit that. It's not going to be all at once. We'll likely have some support levels to look for. I can just extend these ones out that I've had in the past. We've got one here at 46.50 we'll call it, 43, and then obviously this 36.70, 36.80 area. Okay, so I like that for a short trade to the downside. Ford, all right, Ford still looks good for a short, down a little bit today, still kind of hanging out in this resistance area. But Ford, you've got this upward price channel, where this is coming off the March 2020 lows, clean upward price channel. We broke resistance once, or sorry, we broke support once, they recovered it, and we've traded right up to resistance again. So you see all the tags, resistance 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's our 5th tag. This resistance, when we tagged it, we got big, clean, negative divergence. Okay, so we're still waiting for that to confirm, waiting for some more selling to come in to help confirm this negative divergence. What I want to see, let me expand this PPO. I want to see this start to cross over right here and start to point down. Okay, that will help confirm. And I think we're going to get it. All right, so I am looking for moving forward down to the bottom of the channel and probably even a break of that. We'll have to see where the rest of the markets are. I've talked about how I'm probably going to trade this. I'll likely trade it down, short it down to the bottom of the channel, cover here, maybe there's a little bounce, and then I'll just wait for the break of this trend line here to continue the short. All right, so I like that one for continuation. Broadcom just continuing lower. So again, this is already starting to play out pretty nicely. The short was right up here as we were running into that resistance line. So it's very similar to Ford. We ran right into this resistance line, and it's just been selling off ever since. Coming off the March, or this is about April 2020, you can see all the tags of support. We broke, it was in resistance, but then the dip buyer stepped in and ramped it all the way up to this resistance level. And now it was just a clean short right up here. We didn't have negative divergence on the PPO on the daily, but it was there on the hourly, and we did have it on the daily on the RSI. So, good enough for me. Right into resistance, and down she goes. Next level of support you can see is right down here at 546.50, we'll call it. There's a decent support down there. You can see we definitely had several reactions. So I would expect that we're going to fall straight to there, probably get a bounce, maybe something like that. And then we'll continue lower. All right, so I'll probably cover my short down there at that area for a bounce, and then look to re-short it. From where we're at now, the trade is basically profitable by about, 13-14%, and still looks like there's more to go. Okay, gold. Here's gold bullion, or that's gold futures, but here's gold bullion. Again, just trading within this big range right here. I've got it kind of marked in green. We have no technical breakouts, no technical breakdowns, so more of the same, all right? And we'll just need to wait and see what happens on these. Silver's kind of interesting. Here's SLV. So you can see silver, we had some support, pretty good support right here at about 2046. And you can see that that level was former resistance. And then as we broke above, recently we gapped up, and then it was support right there, there. Little false breakdown, and it recovered, and then another false breakdown, and it recovered, and then recently we traded right down to that support level, and we bounced right off of it, and looks like we've got a continuation to the upside like that. So probably go for this gap fill up to about 22.30 before we get maybe some sort of a pullback. So again, silver looks bullish, but we need to see gold break out as well. You really, if you're looking at precious metals, you want to see them both kind of trade together. So, we'll just kind of watch that. And I like this as a short idea, LLY. A little bit of a bounce today, not much, but you can see here, big negative divergence on this one on the daily chart. It's been building for quite a while. And we had this uptrend line to watch right here. Support, support, support. And we broke. All right, there's a clear breakdown and sell signal on Friday. Today is slight bounce, but ultimately we're not, it doesn't look like it's changing the fact that this is heading much lower. So we do have a little bit of support right here at about 239.93. I think that'll likely break, and we're going to head down to this level, 218.55. I think we'll get a more meaningful bounce down here. So that's the trade for right now. I like it down to there. And that's going to be, and again, this is kind of a defensive stock, so don't expect it to fall as much as maybe the growth stocks, but it could drop about 11%. All right, that's all I have, guys. Again, everything on this channel is just my opinion. It's not financial advice. And I will catch you guys on